Here's the summary. We're again continuing to focus on the opening pasuk of Parshas Bamidbar, Sefer Bamidbar. And here the Alter Rebbe talks about why is it that in the Midbar nothing can grow because of the intense heat. And this is representative of the intense desire to be closer with Hashem, this tzimoin, this unquenchable thirst. And this is what it says, that because we have this great thirst, therefore we are coming to this level of total bittul, this overwhelming level of love. And this is called the point, the singular point, which is about bittul. And this is the idea that is emphasized, that there is both a sort of positive and we'll call it negative characteristic to a midbar. On the one hand, no one can live there. On the other hand, as we say, no one, lo adam, is a reference to Hashem. He is not a person. And here the Alter Rebbe goes on to describe it with various implications. We talk about the level of malchus, which is the expression of atzilus into biyah, and how David HaMelech is, of course, the embodiment of malchus, David HaMelech. And that's why he talks about in Tehillim the longing to be closer to Hashem, this sense of great elevation, becoming closer to God, this crying out. As is emphasized, the Alter Rebbe uses an example with Tikkun Chatzos, that as we are going from the night into the morning, we're preparing our godliness to come back down into this physical world, to wake up the world, and that's a sense of God going back into that gullus, which leads us to cry out during the davening. And this is explained with a story from the Medrash about a king or a leader, a nasi, who came to this state and that state, and they ran away. They were overwhelmed by him. And then he came to a wasteland, and there they greeted him. And this is indicated in Tehillim when David HaMelech writes that the sea saw Hashem and ran away. Hayam rav hayanois. The mountains skipped away like rams. Haharim ka'ayil rabtu ke'elim. They danced away like rams. And the idea being that they feared the bittul, that this intense closeness with Hashem would evoke within them, and so they ran away. And that's why Hashem chose Har Sinai, because it didn't identify itself by its assertion, and therefore it wasn't scared away by the bittul characteristic of the infinity of Hashem. And this is what we see in the various characteristics associated with the Midbar. Then we return back to the pasuk that talks about Hashem commanding Moshe and Aaron, Moshe being the escort who brings Hashem to us, and Aaron being the escort that brings us to Hashem, the male-female dynamic, king and queen, masculine waters, feminine waters. This metaphor is emphasized further in this part of the mimer, and the characteristics of the midbar, the negative sense that we feel so distant from Hashem, like the uninhabitable quarters of the midbar that make us long for God, and the positive sense that it's not where humans can reside, it's where God himself resides. It's that total stripped down bittul that allows us to have this closeness with Hashem. And this is the illustration of our desire to be subsumed within the infinity of Hashem. And as the mimer sort of concludes the idea of the oil moyed, the wording of Legugul Oisam, the base of Oisam, these are the particular words that are mentioned in the pasuk, which describe the longing of us to go back to the level of the Avos, to the Legugul Oisam, which means their individual count, but more literally is a reference to their skull, which represents a level higher than the brain, like the skull surrounds the brain, known Kabbalistically as the sense of Keser. And this is what is evoked from being in the midbar, the place where we feel such a longing and a thirst, and the place that is higher than human and thus welcoming for God.